Biological warfare facility in Kazakhstan. Today, he lives in Greensboro and is still a top government consultant. But John Allen also believes he's found what could be a solution to what some feel is the biggest threat to the United States.
People seem shocked when you tell them that water rates have gone up 27% in the last 5 years, that we've doubled the amount of water that we've used over 20 years. Where's it all going, and what are we going to do in the future?
John Allen's passion for water conservation goes back to his years working for the federal government, where he got to know presidents and other foreign leaders as a CIA consultant working in more than 42 countries. He was in a White House national security briefing some 15 years ago when an analyst discussed the top threats to the United States. And the number one threat was
water.
What is the biggest threat to our water supply, I guess domestically here today?
Well, I think other than having your terrorist threats to our water supply, where some poison could be put into a reservoir or something.
And that is a legitimate threat?
That is a legitimate threat that could happen, and always a concern of everyone to monitor it and to protect it the best we can.
But other threats, Allen says, include drought, as we've seen here at Greensboro's Lake Brant in recent years, and pollution, like the millions of gallons of raw sewage from Thomasville that recently spilled into a High Rock Lake tributary.
As most people will tell you, there's plenty of water, but my answer to that is always, would you drink it?
During a trip to the Jordanian desert in the 1990s, with that national security briefing still in his head, Allen met a farmer who would change his life.
He had vegetables, flowers, and all blooming in the desert.
Sure. And
I asked him, how did he manage to do that with very little water or no water? And he told me that he took the mineral off the mountainside and tilled it into the soil and was able to grow vegetables and flowers like you haven't seen before. And he said he had cut his water usage from an hour a day to 15 minutes a day, a 75% reduction. He had reduced his fertilizer by 75%, and he got a higher germination rate.
Within the next few years, Allen's company started mining that mineral in the Jordanian desert. It's essentially a combination of 3 types of volcanic rock that together contain nutrients like iron and magnesium that plants need to thrive.
And the white material that you see here is what we call zeolite.
Zeolite has a cage-like structure to which water molecules can attach easily. A type of zeolite is commonly found in clumping cat litter. Today, Allen has ground all this volcanic rock into a patented product he calls H2Old, or Hold.
You're spoon-feeding the plant. Instead of giving it one big dose of fertilizer, it's like jamming a steak down its throat. Instead, you're just spoon-feeding it whenever the plant wants to eat or drink night and day, it's available.
Recently, his company applied this Hold material to parts of the Greensboro Country Club farm course where grass had trouble growing. This picture shows what it looked like the day the substance was applied. Here's the same area 4 days later. How do you get this stuff in the ground?
When we've done construction before, when the ground has been already disturbed, we're able to rake it in and get it in the first 2 or 3 inches of the soil, and then it's permanent from now on.
But for areas that are already covered in grass, Allen joins forces with a company out of southeastern North Carolina that uses this machine, which uses water to inject the material into the ground without damaging the grass itself. It cost about 12 cents a square foot to apply, and when you consider the savings in both water and fertilizer costs, Allen says Hold pays for itself in less than 2 years.
1 acre of this, if it's applied, will return about $42,000 over a 10-year period.
On a bigger picture, Allen sees municipalities using it to replace multi-million-dollar retention ponds, which the federal government requires to collect stormwater runoff and keep pollutants out of the water supplies. The Hold product would absorb most, if not all, the impurities.
How do you go about putting one of these retention ponds into a neighborhood like Irving Park? The city here has said that it would cost them somewhere around $400 million to retrofit existing neighborhoods, and we're looking at a different way of doing that by putting this into the soil, trapping the nutrients in the front lawn, and actually creating a stormwater treatment facility with your front lawn.
Alan's currently selling and applying his product at golf courses and military bases. He hopes municipalities will give it a close look and believes it could be a much less expensive alternative if the state of North Carolina eventually requires triad communities to clean up their stormwater that flows into Jordan Lake, which of course provides drinking water for triangle area communities. And yes, one day you may even be able to buy it at your neighborhood garden center. For more information on Alan's product and company, take the link from this story on myfox8.com.